Hey everybody, welcome to Gnomoria. So, whilst I'm just in here in my mildly incomplete new office, as lovely as it looks, I am currently a little bit internetless, so I am checking out a bunch of fresh little games that I have just sort of sitting around for the most part, that I haven't actually done any videos on just yet. So, first one is one I was gifted here. This is Gnomoria. It's sort of Dwarf Fortress, but with gnomes, is the simplest way to describe it. Also, it has this rather nice isometric like view that is perhaps one of the bigger problems that Dwarf Fortress tends to have. It's all just ASCII for the most part, that you have additional programs on top of it, so it's a little bit hard to understand. So, we're going to call this the Netless Wastes, because go internet. Kingdom size, let's make it a huge one. I will stick with normal difficulty for the time being. Now this is going to take a while to actually generate, so I will see you when it's done. Ah, here we are. Okay, so currently we are in one huge place. I can't actually zoom out far enough to see all of it, but yeah, it's pretty dang big, and it looks like we've got, might be a meteor under there? I'm not really sure, but that's definitely basalt we got there. Yeah, basalt floor. And let me see what else we're looking at around here. We've got a bunch of apple trees, looks like. What we got there? Yep, apple trees. Don't seem to have too much water, which might be a problem in a little bit. Sorry, I'm still used to looking directly at the game, at the monitor I'm gaming on, as opposed to this one, which is now a much more oblique angle. But yeah, got plenty of wood, plenty to forage. So we are going to do the standard first thing in a game like this. We're going to find a nice place to dig a hole, and oh god, I think it's going to be here. This looks pretty sweet. So, right-click, terrain, mine, wall, and we'll just have a little nook there. And I can then expand that to go more or less wherever I like, such as down this way. And the first thing I have to say with this game is that you need a lot of holding space. So we're probably going to have to, let's see, let's have a nice, very nice space there. We're going to have to dedicate our first location in here to just stockpiles, because I'm doing it again, to just stockpiles. And then we can work on more or less everything else. So that's the mining. We also want to go into agriculture and fell trees so that we can have a bunch of wood. We'll do that over here, all of these spruce trees, because they're probably more pine and birch than anything else, because that will get us a bunch of lumber that we are going to need very soon in the early stages doing this. And the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to take forage all of this, because that is a lot of potential food right there, just sitting around doing nothing. Other than that, we could maybe do with a little farm. Let's just see, can I put a farm here maybe? Might be a good place for a farm. You do usually start out with some, not too terribly many, but some crops. So we'll start off with some strawberry, and a second one here, I think, for some wheat, which is usually used for animals, but it's also used for things like beds at some stages. So with that in mind, let's unpause. It'll save momentarily just to make sure it has everything set, but that won't take too long, hopefully. Cue it taking forever. There we go. Okay. So there we go, everybody's moving off. We've got two animals here, we've got two yaks, and yaks are a source of yak milk, which is a drink. Your settlers, all your nomads, as they're known, all need both food and drink. And sorry if my voice sounds a little bit on the echoey side, we're still missing a bit of the soundproofing that's intended for in here. Oh, and I can hear that we're digging in already. Yep, there we go. Ooh. Yep, they're having a fun time in there, aren't they? Okay. Oh, so much going up. We have drink 128, food 82. We are digging up a storm here. Ooh. Need to wait for that to be entirely dug out before I can actually designate it as a stockpile, because the stockpile will go to the limits of the space they try to put it in, so that means it will not fill in the area. But yeah, they will be pretty speedy early on. Yeah, once you have about 100 odd, 150 food, you'll start to get new settlers, just like Edgington. But we'll be probably not seeing that this particular episode. How are we doing? We're getting there. We're getting there. Let's just accelerate a little bit more. Now you'll notice there's also this this hot bar down here, which lets you access basically a tree of different options, but they're more or less the same things you can get from doing over here by just right-clicking. Most of the time I'll just be right-clicking. It's just sort of more intuitive to me. But to each their own. So for example, designate an area, stockpile. And we'll just set that there. And we'll set it to hold goods, which is pretty much everything that you harvest. One thing I'm going to exclude from that though is food and drink, because I really want to put that somewhere very specific, and we'll also exclude wood from it as well. Right, welcome back. I had a slight little weird crash there. I say a crash, basically my entire screen turned purple and I'm not really sure what that means. But we're back. We're pretty much right back where we left off. So we've got our stockpile coming in. We want to have a new dugout section here because we're going to need some space for some workshops. So let's start that by just having a big long stretch over here where we can start to stick some stuff. And let's also grab that too. And let's have a free entrance there. And this is not going to be a work of architectural beauty. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's going to be as ugly as sin because I don't need it to be anything else. And one thing I'm also going to do is have another area dug out over here so that we can put together another stockpile for food. Because we're going to be wanting food very, very soon. We're at 200 at the moment because we've just found it more or less on the ground, but we're going to want to have that in a more stable kind of location. More stable than we have right now anyways. We also currently only have 2 people doing mining. So let's see, we have Spiter and the Fistustonapole. Fistustonapole. Okay, that's a name. Zin, Halink, Bindle of Arse, Bear, Basse, Gimbug. Yeah, doing a bunch of interesting names here, but we've got 2 farmers, 2 builders, 2 miners, a rancher, and 2 woodcutters. That's more or less the standard that you're likely to see. You can have different ones, but most likely you'll be seeing that. Now let's see, we want to build a crude workbench. This is the very, most basic crafting, workshop that you can get. And that's the first one that you're going to want. You'll quite probably want more than one of them, in fact, because they are a little bit integral, at least in the early game. So we've nearly finished up there, good. And now we're getting to here where we'll start to put our food storage. Okay, and that is all set. So let's add our next piece, which is going to be a stone cutter. And this is used to turn the raw stone, which you just see these little piles down here, into actual physical blocks. Oh, and Havas has just fallen asleep on the floor. Oh well, I guess he was sleepy. I guess he was very tired from all the work today. Okay, and we want a new stockpile. Right there. And this we just want for food. Food and drink, because that's where all of that's going to go. So we should start to see all of that coming through now. 286 and climbing food here, and a little 125 drink. You know what? We're not doing anything to get drink just yet. We will be in the near future. But we kind of just want to get all of our workshops set up early on, because if you don't have the right materials, then you can't quite get it done, and if you don't have the right ones, then some of your stuff will become completely inaccessible. And you notice it is, we do have some light sources coming up from our actual gnomes here, but by and large it is very dark because we're entering night. You do have light sources, but they're not 100% necessary. Evidently, either all of our gnomes carry torch or they have night vision. I don't know which it is. I'm not a particular expert on gnomes. I'm more of a dwarf kind of guy. Okay, so what do we need to make the stonemason? Well, the stone cutter. It requires a workbench, a chair, and a chisel, all of which can be crafted here in the crude workbench, and indeed are scheduled, but we don't presently have anybody doing any of them. But never fear. Quite probably someone who was supposed to do that has just fallen asleep. What are you doing over here? Foraging, I think. Zin. Whoa, that lumber. That's right, we need another place for lumber, don't we? So, mine will have a nice big open space over here within which to store lumber. Oh, and it is dawn. Hooray, second day of spring. I tell you, it's apparently actually sunset somehow. Or maybe that's when sunset is. I'm not really sure. Yeah, that's probably when sunset is. Wow. So a spider there has just fallen asleep in the entryway. Fortunately, unlike Edgington, people can walk over each other. They don't get blocked by each other. Although, our other miner here has just fallen asleep completely as well. Fistus Pineapple, no. Ugh, great. I can't force them to stay awake either. So, you have very little control on an individual basis with these people. Imagine, is everybody asleep? We can check actually. Assign. Yes. Everyone but Avas is asleep. Wow. Eesh. Well, let's just set up where a few more of these need to be then. So, from stone we have the stone cutter, but we're also going to need the stone mason for crafting furniture and other things. So let's get that set up. It requires basically the same materials. And we'll stick that one there. And then we're also going to need a sawmill, which is another piece from the carpentry kind of line. So currently we have set up a stone cutter, a crude workbench, a stonemason, and a sawmill. And I think there's one more that we're probably going to need, not a wood carver, but a stone mason. Or do I already have that one? Is that the one? Yes. Okay, good. I am losing it a little bit. So that's all the basic ones that we're going to need right now. I'm also going to put in a well. Actually, no, I'm going to go to metal, and we're going to make a furnace. Because we need that to turn just various wood into charcoal. Now, it's probably going to be a while before all of these are put together and built, but for our exact moment, it's fine. Okay, so into here we just want to put in woods of all kinds. So that should bring in all of that lumber now. Should just get hauled in. And we've got 380 odd food. We're doing well there. And 111 drink though, not quite perfect. So let's rotate the map a little bit. And around here is where we want to put some kind of well. So we want, let's see, it's going to be food and drink, a well, requires any block, 4 of them, and any plank, 4 of them. That's made in the crude workbench. So I think we just want to put it about here. And that might take a while to get built, but it's something. We're going to want it pretty soonish. Oh, and somebody's working. What do you got over here? I have no idea. What are you working on? Working on the sawmill. Okay. And the stone cutter is still there. Workbench for build job. You know, those are just going to gradually come in, but for now, it is sunrise at 6:57, and it's speeding along. Now, there are hostile creatures in this game. I've had at least 2 or 3 people die to a monitor lizard, which it turns out just wanders the plains around here. So I don't exactly know what we're going to be looking at quite yet. I mean, this is just the second day, that was more like a week in. But we'll see. Still working on planks, huh? Let's move up that. And then, yeah, that should work a bit better. Actually, we should have probably the sawmill first. There. Yeah, so unlike Edgington, people will queue up jobs that need to be done, to be like things that need to be crafted before they just stop completely doing them. We've also hit E there to fill in those empty spaces. But I think that'll be about enough for this first episode. Hope you're enjoying this. It's a nice, kind of fairly relaxed game. It has a very distinct, different feel than Edgington does. For one thing, I have almost no idea who's doing what, whereas in Edgington I can keep a very refined eye on who's doing what, because I have a lot more control of them, whereas here, they just go about their own business. But yeah, this is basically an emergency series. This is just me making as many little videos as I can, as quickly as I can, so that I have something substantial to sort of justify my downtime when I finally get back on the air. With that in mind, I hope you've enjoyed. This has been the Netless Wastes, and I'll catch you all next time.